Hello, half an hour to go on the weekend sports breakfast with Linsey Hipgrave and Cass this morning, taking over from us with the warm-up. It's the two mics in the studio. Hello to you both.
Very good morning.
Hello, Linsey.
How nice to see you.
I immediately have a bone to pick with you.
Oh, go on.
I hear you bad-mouthing my team Everton. You know, is that all you've got to talk about? Is that all you've got to talk about?
It wasn't me who said it. It was a guy called Ross who works here, so pick it up with him tomorrow. He said he was a bit jealous.
Yes, but
the way Liverpool
you know the old adage, you repeat a rumour and it goes round the world before you've got time to correct it.
That'll be Ross, our producer, I think you'll find.
Yes. Oh, him?
Yeah.
Oh, right.
Who's an Everton fan.
Are you, though?
Sorry?
Are you a little bit jealous of the way Liverpool are playing at the moment?
I would love to be watching the sort of football that Liverpool are playing, and I'd love to have the sense of optimism which their fans must now have, having acquired their defender. And as you were saying earlier, Tony, if he gets a goalkeeper during the transfer window, then he's plugged all the holes, hasn't he?
Well, it's close to him. Yeah, I think I was saying earlier that, you know, you think Liverpool have spent $3.5 million on Joe Gomez. You know, Matip's coming for nothing. You've paid 75 million for a centre half, and you've got Robertson at left back, who could be one of three left backs for you. He's paid 12 million. So generally,
also Jose Mourinho is worried, because you can always tell when Jose Mourinho starts attacking another manager, he's worried that they're going to come after him. He's looking over his shoulder. At the moment, Porky's actually jealous of the way Millwall are playing, because they got a win last night and they shot more shots on goal than Everton have had the last 3 games.
Like his first goal of the season, Morrison.
Yeah, well, it doesn't matter, but I mean, they're scoring goals is more than you can say for Everton. That's
What's
the point.
An idiotic
well, it's true, isn't it? How many shots on goal in the last 2 games? Was it a big round zero?
No, you've got to remember, mate, you have to build from the base upwards. We have plugged all the gaps, we have stabilised the team in 9th position. Now we go for the real prize in the second half of the season.
Bournemouth are licking their lips this morning,
because
they haven't had a win for a while.
Bournemouth are going to get battered today.
Really?
Bournemouth are going to get battered.
The only person getting battered here is going to be you after the show. You're going straight down to Wetherspoons.
I don't think so.
Let me jump in the middle.
Please do.
What's on the show?
What's coming up on the show?
Well, we're going to talk about Jose Mourinho, because
Yeah.
Jose Mourinho only turns his fire on people that he's jealous of or that he feels are a danger to him. And
it's true.
The way that he's attacking Jurgen Klopp, the way that he's held this kind of, grudge against him because of what he said when they paid the most money for Pogba that anybody ever paid. You know, the man is clearly kind of trying to find his way out of Manchester United, we think. And we think that we're going to be exploring that because he's talking about Lukaku being too big to play football, but he doesn't want to stop him playing. He's talking about Jurgen Klopp, spending too much money.
The clue is,
Pep Guardiola's got all the money in the world, I can't compete with him. He's on his way out.
The clue is when he says, I don't have £600 million, but we know a club who has got £600 million across the other side of the English Channel, you know what I mean? And you just wonder whether he's putting bits of a jigsaw puzzle together to make it look like he had no option but to go to PSG, you know, next year or the year after or something like that.
Yeah.
Because in the next 2 years, he's not going to overtake Pep Guardiola, is he?
It's not going to happen.
No. I can't see it, but hey.
In his defence, though, didn't he just say, when he was asked about the Pogba money, you'll have to ask Jurgen Klopp about that, and he pretty much said he didn't want to comment, and now we've turned this into...
Well, no, because he knows what he's saying. I mean, everything that Jose Mourinho says is absolutely calculated. He knows precisely that question's coming, and he knows exactly how he's going to deflect it. He doesn't want to say, we spent more money on a player than they did. He wants to say, well, Klopp said we spent too much money. Look what he's done now.
Absolutely right. We've also got...
We're going to talk about salamanders as well.
Salamanders and a domestic crisis, because my housekeeper, I allowed her days off over Christmas, so I tried washing some pairs of chinos. Now, I didn't realise...
Chinos?
You're supposed to search...
What colour chinos?
Blue and black. You're supposed to search through the pockets before you put them in the washing machine.
Tissues.
Oh, that's a
whole packet of tissues.
Schoolboy error.
No, a whole packet of tissues. My house now looks like it's owned by some guy from Medellin,
like
a cocaine dealer. Yeah, no, I'm not joking. So I'm afraid that she's going to be a long time today to get every last, bit of...
What a pathetic story.
What do you mean?
Nobody's interested in your domestic problems.
I'm telling you.
It is one of my pet hates, that.
Absolutely.
It is. It really
and do you know what? When you get it all out of the washing machine, you think it's done, then you put something else in, it's all still in there. It comes back.
Yeah, Mike Parry and the Showbiz Life. More coming up after 11 o'clock.
That's
What a pathetic story.
It is. Well, it is.
Yeah,
Poor bloke lives on his own, can't even work the washing machine.
No, it's not that. It's
Point
just
ends.
I tried to ease the pressure on my housekeeper because I'm that sort of guy. Right, see you later.
Yeah, see you later. We look forward to it. Oh, to have a housekeeper, how nice would that be? The two mics here from 11 o'clock this morning.
A lot of weddings take place at this time of the year.
Do they?
Because people say, you know, I'm talking about people in their early 20s, often if they've all been to university together, they're home, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So they go back to see their parents or something like that, so they...
Well, why would they have weddings then?
Because they will think to themselves, look, I grew up in, say, Chester, right? And then, I went off to university and then I started my job and all that. I'm going home at at Christmas, and a lot of my old friends will be there, you know, who've gone to the university, that kind of thing. So they have weddings, right? Now, the new phenomenon in the wedding market is that, you're
a wedding expert, of course, aren't you, having never been married?
Well, I'm just telling you what I know, because, this comes out of my journals of social etiquette, is that when you get an invitation to a wedding these days, don't expect that you can take your latest partner in life, which might be your girlfriend or your boyfriend, or might be your wife or husband or something like that. Because weddings now are so expensive, and people like to spend what spare cash they've got on making the weddings more lavish. I.e., having things like, what was it, a sort of...
Well, you were invited to a wedding this summer, weren't you? You weren't able to go in the end, but you were going to go to Greece for it, which is quite an extravagant
Santorini, was it?
Santorini, yeah.
That's right, yeah. So they like to have gym bars, flower walls, displays of confectionery, a donut wall...
a donut wall?
A donut wall, yeah, made completely of donuts.
Why?
And
what do you have that for?
I don't know. But they're very expensive. So what happens is you get the invitation, and it says, for instance, if it came to me, dear Mike, Fred and Delilah would like to invite you to their wedding, but then it doesn't say +1 or guest or anything.
That wouldn't worry you, though, would it? Because you haven't got +1 to bring.
No, don't be facetious.
Well, I'm not being facetious. I'm just telling you that's the way it is.
So this newest thing is you go on your own.
Right. Well, I wouldn't go.
Well, I would.
Well, you haven't got anybody to take, that's why.
No, I think it's quite good, because you spend half the time, if you go with, suppose you've just got a new girlfriend, right, you've got a new boyfriend or something like that, and you spend like almost all of the day introducing your new partner in life to other people who've never met the new partner, and it's all very dysfunctional.
A lot of times
so
you
I
go
think
to
this
a
is
wedding.
Great to make it like just a group of friends getting together.
Unless you're very, very close to the people who are getting married and all of their friends. Generally speaking, you won't know most of the people at the wedding anyway.
Yeah.
So you don't have to introduce anyone to anyone.
Yeah. Well, I think
you might find that you don't know anybody there, in which case it's better to go with someone, otherwise you'll have nobody to talk to.
No, but I'm very sociable, so I wouldn't have
You
a
are the
problem.
most unsociable person I've ever met.
And it's not so much the wedding, it's the reception afterwards, isn't it?
Well, that's what I'm saying, but if you are, I mean, most people, I'm not sure where you're getting this information from, because most people prefer to be able to sit people in couples, because it's very difficult to get single people to mingle with each other, right? Especially if they've already got partners who weren't invited.
Well, that's, it's a day out sort of freedom, isn't it? You know what I mean?
Well, no, it's not. It's some kind of free-for-all sort of 1970s permissive society thing. What are you talking about?
It depends what sort of people are inviting you to their wedding. I mean, you told me once, I remember, we were up in Scotland, you got invited to a wedding where I think the father of either the bride or the groom had a wound down the middle of his head because he'd been hit with an axe.
Very shortly after I got up there to run the Scottish Mirror.
Surprisingly enough, this was in Glasgow.
It was in Glasgow, I don't think you should be in any way...
I'm not in any way.
Dismissive of the sorts of things that go on in Glasgow. But, it was about the first week I think I was there. Yeah. And one of the guys that worked at the office was getting married, so he obviously invited me.
So a bit of a grovel to the new editor.
Obviously, yeah. And I turned up, and I have to say, one of the worst weddings I've ever been to.
Where was it?
It was in somewhere like East Kilbride.
It was in a church or a register office or what?
No, it was in a hotel.
Oh, okay.
The hotel had a kind of ante-room which had been made up like a chapel.
Yeah.
But I don't think it was a particularly religious ceremony.
No.
But we all sort of shuffled into this chapel where the wedding ceremony took place. We then all kind of shuffled back out into this massive banqueting hall.
Yeah, sure.
But there was this horrible kind of bowl of punch, which everybody got a free glass of. But I mean, you might as well have been Tizer.
Yeah.
There was hardly any alcohol in it.
Yeah.
You got one glass of this stuff. And then we all were put on, and I was on a table with a load of people. And there was no wine on the table.
Yeah.
So I called somebody over. I said, can I have a bottle of wine, please? They said, what would you like? Give me wine. They bought a bottle of wine.
Yeah.
They all started helping themselves to it.
To your wine?
It's my wine. It's
not
table
good,
eight.
is it?
No. So I sat there when the final bit of it was drained. I thought, well, maybe one of these characters is going to stump up for another bottle. No, nobody moved.
No.
So I called for another bottle.
Yeah.
Did that. They all shared that one as well.
See, that's not good.
And then got a third bottle.
Yeah.
And nobody was buying anything, right?
That's shocking.
We then went up to meet the groom's family and all the various, you have to do the line of succession or whatever it is.
Yeah.
And the guy who was getting married, his father was quite bald, right? But he had this massive, great scar right down the middle of his head.
Yeah.
Which looked very, fresh. He looked as if it just happened.
Yeah.
And it turned out that the night before...
He had actually been hit with an axe.
He had been hit with an axe in the middle of his head while he was walking home from the pub.
Right, yeah.
And it was, when a wound...
was this a mistaken identity, or was it somebody taking vengeance?
I don't know. I said to someone, this guy looks like he's been hit with an axe. And they went, yeah, he has. It was totally bizarre.
When you hit somebody with an axe on their head...
Well, I've never done it.
No, neither have I. But I've often thought, if I had to, just to defend myself...
Yeah.
Do you hit them with the sharp side or the blunt side of the head of the axe?
Well, it depends how much damage you want to do, I imagine.
Well, I think if you hit them with the blunt side, you'd smash them down to the ground much more quickly than if you use the sharp side. Yeah. You've got a good chance if it's a big
missing. Well, you might miss.
Missing or the axe glancing off the head. You see what I mean?
Yeah.
So I'd always.
The family showed us. don't think we should be discussing the whys and wherefores of an axe attack.
No, I would advise anybody who has...
What if it's a tomahawk? Because with a tomahawk you can get the pointy bit from the back end in as well.
Well, you throw that from about 12 feet, don't you? Anyway, whoosh, 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 whoosh.
No, that's only in the Lone Ranger.
In Jim Bowie style.
Anyway, it was very weird. I had to make my excuses and leave early.
Yeah.
Because also all of these people started getting sort of creepy about the fact that I was the boss, and they were all trying to talk to me and ask me about whether they had any great future at the newspaper, and all this. And
Did the Axeman come up to you and
the Axeman, no, but he...
my son have a great future at the Mirror.
Funny thing was, he talked as though he didn't have a big axe mark in his head.
Oh, I
he
see.
just said, hello, very nice to meet you.
Yeah.
And nobody mentioned it, because it's not the kind of thing you mentioned, did it?
Very odd, isn't it?
What's that big mark that looks like an axe mark at the top of your head?
Absolutely. It's terrible when you go to a wedding and you are sort of a little bit unsure about the social status of those there.
Yes.
Because one of the first weddings I ever went to, right, my girlfriend, who was a lovely girl, had a friend who
What was her name?
It was actually, my girlfriend was Trudy in those days, right?
Trudy?
It was as a teenager.
The one you took to Torquay?
Yes, that's right, that's the one, yeah. And she had a friend called Jenny.
Right.
And Jenny's father was something like chief fire officer of the whole of Cheshire, and they were very middle class.
Right.
And Jenny met some real lowlife in a nightclub in Chester.
How unusual.
That's right. And within 6 months, was desperately in love, wanted to marry him. And her parents were saying, no, you can't do this, you can't do this. Yeah. Anyway, she did.
She married him?
Yeah, I think the guy's name was Wally.
Right.
But it was only at the wedding I realised he had about 4 brothers, right? And they all came from this dreadful housing estate in Chester. I mean, just awful,
What, you mean the Great Unwashed?
Yes, very much so, very much so. And it was dreadful because, they all turned up at the church and
they start stealing the silverware?
No, they didn't anything like that. They just didn't have any social graces, so they went for the first free glass of, wine, free this,
bit of fighting later.
It was appalling. Well, they all got roarously drunk because they weren't used to free booze.
Right.
And of course, Jenny's family were appalled at, this terrible behaviour. Because of course they brought all their mates, from that side of town, who were,
shocking.
Half of them were sort of rehoused cases and all this kind of stuff.
Halfway house scenario.
Yeah. And anyway, it won't surprise you to know, within 8 months, Jenny went through the ritual with her mother of burning all the wedding photographs because it just didn't work out.
And how did the wedding work out? I mean, the marriage. Did you stay married to the guy?
No, that's what I'm saying. Within 6 or 8 months,
really?
She made this terrible mistake.
The whole thing was done.
That this guy was, just, not of her social status, so to speak, and decided she had to get out quick. Yeah.
Goodness gracious.
Well, you do that sort of thing when you're young.
Well, you do. Absolutely right. Anyway, we'll talk some more about the social graces and the social mores of society, in which got a lot of action on the old axe front, by the way. Not that I wish to turn this into a speciality axe show.
You see, it was a throwaway comment, right? And I didn't, under any circumstances, want to insinuate that violence.
Do you remember we were supposed to be going to do an axe throwing contest, weren't we?
Yeah, that's right. We were. Yeah.
That never happened.
Never happened.
It's supposed to be somewhere down the East End of London.
Let's make it absolutely clear: all violence is abhorrent, and we don't go in for that.
Despite the fact that you recounted a very jolly little song about burying axes in people's heads.
Well, that was when I was a sort of 14 or 15, just go to gutter, and that's what people, who were less cultured and less educated than me.
By the way, I know we talked about this on the show last night. Did you see the welcome that old "Who Are You" got down at Millwall last night when he turned up on the coach wearing a Peaky Blinders hat?
Could have been something to do with his Peaky Blinders hat. Perhaps they thought, who does he think he is, and all that kind of stuff.